Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. I'm Andrew Sullivan. I'm the President and CEO of the Internet Society, and I want to welcome you to InterCommunity 2018. I started as the CEO the 1st of September, and I've already been around the world meeting many of you in person. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I thank you for joining us. One of the things that I've noticed as we've been going around the world is how things have changed on the internet. There are a lot of people now who are trying to regulate the internet, or trying to control it, trying to make it into something new for themselves. They're trying to protect us from some of the things that have happened on the internet over the past several years, and one of the key messages that we've had to take around the world is to remind people that you can't fix the internet by breaking it. We need a collaborative approach that's essential to addressing the challenges that we face on the internet. And that's the reason that we come together in events like this to collaborate in order to talk about the things that we're doing together. So I want you to join me in welcoming for today's session our presenter and host, Evelyn Namara. Evelyn, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to InterCommunity 2018. I'm very excited to be your host for the 4th edition of InterCommunity. To those of you I know personally, thank you for joining. And to those of you I have not met before, I'm very pleased to meet you. So we have assembled an exciting agenda for you today. So let's take a look at what we will be covering today. With Andrew Sullivan on board as our new president and CEO, we know that many of you are craving for information around the 2019 action plan. This plan has been approved by the Board of Trustees, and all the information is now available on our website. And secondly, this is a great opportunity for us to think about community events just like this. We want to engage you in this critical process of designing and reshaping the ideal Internet Society community event for the future. We are excited, we are interested in hearing your thoughts and ideas, and this is the start of that conversation. And last, but definitely not least, we are very excited that 43 chapters participated in a 2018 chapter-thon, and today we will be announcing the winner. We have a great agenda, and we are very pleased that you could join. Before we get started, let me go through some housekeeping notes to share. If you want to see what people are saying about this meeting and join the conversation, please follow the hashtag ICOM2018 on Twitter. So I'll say that again, ICOM2018, ICOMM 2018. And if you're wondering what is happening on the right side of your screen, let me introduce you to Slido. This is our interactive tool that lets you get fully engaged with InterCommunity. This is the first time we are using this tool, so now let's get started. Slido is very easy to use. If you have any technical issues, please click the Request Support button on the bottom left corner, and a member of the support team will be happy to help you. So let's try it out. Everyone go to Slido. In your Slido panel, in your InterCommunity portal, It should be on the right-hand side. You will see our test poll. And the question we are asking today is, which region are you connecting from? Is it North America, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, or Asia Pacific? Yeah, I can see everyone is trying to enter your submissions. We have a lot of people connecting from North America. You're welcome. Looks like everyone is getting their Slido polls in. Thank you very much. So we're getting a lot of responses. It looks like the majority of you are now up and running and ready to get involved. So thank you. Now let's get started with the first part of our program, the 2019 Action Plan. For this, it gives me great pleasure to hand you over to Andrew, who will take you through the plan. Immediately following Andrew's presentation, we will put up a quick poll, so keep your eyes out for that. Andrew, over to you.
Thanks, Evelyn. The 2019 Action Plan is the roadmap for what we're going to do in the upcoming year. And the goal of this action plan is, of course, to build on what we did in 2018 and to serve as our strategic roadmap to achieve our overall strategic goal. We want an open, globally connected, trustworthy, and secure internet for everyone. This is what we understand from our mission and our vision statements. This is what it is that we're trying to build. Now, the plan for 2019 is an evolution from last year. What we see is that we've separated the what from the how, the things that we do and the ways that we do it. The idea here is to have a metric-driven approach with clear measures. That way we know how well we're advancing our vision, how well we are affecting the world. We're going to continue to focus on the key areas. We focus on connecting the world. We focus on building trust in the internet. We focus on improving the technical security of the internet. And all of this works together to shape the future of the internet. In 2018, we worked on these issues primarily through campaigns, and you heard probably a lot about the campaigns. But one of the key things that we learned in 2018 is that we were not that successful at bridging the focus in the campaigns and the rest of our work. So these campaigns are really just the pointy end of those key areas of focus. And they're all part of this bigger areas of focus, which include a bunch of other things. We'll continue to work on internet exchange points. We'll continue to work on protecting the public core. And these go to our efforts around shaping the future of the internet through connecting the world and building trust. We'll continue to use our Deploy 360 approach and our Online Trust Alliance in order to make sure that we build the trust and improve the technical security of the world. And all of this works collaboratively. We're working on internet governance collaboratively because that's how the internet works. You can't internet alone. And we work on emerging technologies because, of course, the internet evolves. You don't get to have an internet that is static. And all of this pulls us together. The campaigns themselves remain largely follow-ons from last year. So we have, for instance, Connecting the World. We're going to continue to work on community networks. And this campaign will culminate with a global summit that we plan to host near the end of 2019. In improving technical security, we're going to continue to work on the Manners campaign. And in particular, we're going to deploy the Manners Observatory in order to see how many routing leaks happen on the internet. That way, we'll be able to see what the effect of Manners and other efforts to improve routing security are. In building trust, we're going to continue to work in asking manufacturers to improve the security and privacy of their Internet of Things devices. And we want to make sure that we do this in such a way that the market is affected. We have a large enough penetration in the market that it really changes the way that that market works. We need security to be a differentiating factor. Now, all of this goes hand in hand with building our community. We can't do these things alone. The Internet Society is not just the staff, but of course our entire community, and we need to work together to make that happen. Therefore, we're going to continue to collaborate with all those who share our mission, both people within the Internet Society community, the chapters, the organizational members, the individual members. We continue to work with that, but we also continue to work with partners, other organizations who work with us when we share our missions. There are going to be some additional announcements about in this area in the coming weeks, and I urge you to look forward to that. Naturally, all of this only works if we speak with one strong voice. We need to speak consistently, clearly, and courageously. And one of the things that we're doing this year is to make sure that we measure the effectiveness of our brand so that we ensure that people around the world understand what it is when the Internet Society speaks. The other thing I'm excited to talk about today is the launch of the Internet Society Foundation. This is an exciting period in the Internet Society's history. It's funded by the contributions from the Public Interest Registry, and it's all to support initiatives that advance our mission and create an effect in the world. So the foundation is going to serve as a central source for all of our grants programs, and it gives us flexibility to expand those opportunities in order for our community to work more completely with us, and also to extend our reach beyond our traditional communities so that we can reach out to those who are perhaps not familiar with us so far. We're going to launch in the first quarter of 2019. We're going to use our chapter capacity building, the already well-known Beyond the Net program. We're going to transfer that to the foundation, and it will be the first grant program that we run through the foundation. Following that, we expect to build a community capacity building granting program. This is to support broader initiatives to support internet access. And we're going to put together some efforts in the area of disaster relief and recovery, but not immediately post-disaster. Rather, we've identified a gap in the way that funding works, so we will work with other partners to prepare communities to reconnect after the disaster happens. That is one of the areas which seems to be most wanting. Two other programs are in early stages of development, and I don't have too much to say about them today. Research opportunities are obviously going to fund research, but the idea here is to strengthen research capacity across all of the technical, economic, and public policy topics. We also want to undertake some innovation funding in order to encourage technology initiatives, innovative technologies that will contribute to the open internet, and we're identifying precisely where those opportunities are right now. The foundation is also the home for our continued support for the Internet Engineering Task Force. This year, the Internet Engineering Task Force set up the IETF Administration LLC, and that is the home for the administrative efforts of the Internet Engineering Task Force. The foundation is going to provide the funding commitments that the Internet Society has made for 2019 and 2020. So that's how we're going to be undertaking that funding commitment to the IETF. Obviously, we have a strong and ongoing commitment to the IETF, and we want to make sure that this is successful. The foundation is currently preparing our recruitment for an executive director and several other key positions. We're also building the foundation's infrastructure and its website, so you should be hearing more announcements about that pretty soon. We'll be sharing, obviously, more information of this as we get ready, and that will happen sometime during the first quarter of 2019. Now, these are just some selected highlights from the action plan for 2019. The action plan is up on the Internet Society website, and I encourage you all to have a look at it. And after this, of course, we're going to have some opportunity for you to ask some questions, the burning questions that you might have about this, in order to make sure that we answer to our community to make sure that everybody understands what we're going to do in the upcoming year. Thanks so much. Evelyn?
Thank you very much, Andrew, for providing us some key insights about the action plan. As a next step, we would like to ask you which part of the action plan is most relevant for the internet in your region. So for this, we'll go back to Slido. So right now, if you can go to Slido on the right-hand side of your screen and select your choice. Which part of the action plan is most relevant to the internet in your region? Is it connecting the world, improving technical security, building trust, shaping the internet's future, or all of the above? Thank you so much for your active interaction. Yeah, I see a lot of you are entering your ideas, and it's very evident that most of you believe that all of the 4 items, the key items, building trust, improving technical security, connecting the world, as well as shaping the internet's future, are all strong ideas. All right, so I'm certain that this must have sparked some thoughts and ideas as well as questions. And therefore, we would like to give you, our community, an opportunity to ask your burning questions. So for this, let's go back to Slido again. And this time, go to your screen and submit your most pressing question to the executive team. Make sure to add your name and country. So I'll give you a moment to go to Slido and send your question in. We'll have the executive team live today, so they will answer all of your questions today. So please take a moment and enter your questions. And while you enter your questions, please remember you can scroll through the questions on your screen and upvote the most interesting ones. So to do that, all you have to do is click or tap on the questions, on the thumbs up icon. The top questions will be addressed by the executive team. I'll give you a moment. All right, so while you enter those questions into Slido, I'm still waiting for more entries to come through Slido. I'll have the executive team on standby to answer some of the questions that will be coming through. All right, let's start with a few questions. So I'd like to ask Andrew, if you could join me. I have one question up right now. The action plan says that we will work to promote the spread of the culture of multi-stakeholder governance. Can you give an example of that in action? Andrew, who would you like to take this question?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I can think of such an example because I've been involved in it, and that is the Canadian Multi-Stakeholder Initiative on the Internet of Things security, which has been something that I began working with my Canadian colleagues. You all know I'm Canadian, right? I started working on that back before I joined the Internet Society on the staff side, and now I'm very happy to continue that work with my colleagues. We met only a couple of weeks ago, and we've since actually begun similar things in other parts of the world. So to talk a little bit about that, I'm going to pass over to Sally.
Thank you, Andrew. Yes, one of the things that we wanted to emphasize both in 2018 and moving into 2019 is the need to move from talking about the multi-stakeholder model to actually putting it into action to solve real challenges that happen at the local or regional level. And as Andrew pointed out, in Canada, we began a project to help develop a policy approach to the Internet of Things security through a multi-stakeholder process. And that has been, we think, a great success. And we are seeing now opportunities to take that approach and work with it in the country of Senegal, as well as working on similar projects in the Philippines. And in 2019, we will launch one in Uruguay. And we've had some very successful work as well in France. And so what we're seeing is that this model is more than just a talking point, but is actually a way to solve problems and to bring stakeholders together to tackle the issues facing their local internet community. The other thing that I would point out is that we do this work and we have a longstanding commitment to working at the international and global level to open up international organizations and bring stakeholders to the table where internet policy discussions are happening, whether that's in the United Nations or the G20 or the G7 or other global or regional policy organizations. That's a longstanding commitment that Internet Society has and that we will continue in 2019.
Thanks, Sally. Evelyn, back to you.
Thank you very much. We have another question from Flavio. And Flavio from Brazil wants to know, how does Internet Society expect to actively improve the role of the chapters?
We're actually undertaking some improvements to our chapter support even as we speak. But in order to talk a little bit about chapters more generally and how that works, I'm going to hand the microphone to Raul.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you, Flavio, for the question. In fact, many chapters are already actively engaged with the Internet Society work in general. And one of the groups will be the last part of the session, where we will present the chapter-thon projects, what are really amazing and impressive. But some of our flagship projects in community networks are being run by chapters in Kyrgyzstan, in Georgia, in South Africa, and other chapters are working very hard on projects related to other priorities like IoT, Internet of Things, security campaign. But beside that, as Andrew said before, this is not enough. We have improved in the last few years the percentage of chapters in good standing, and we have implemented programs to support better the work of the chapter through the admin funding programs, Beyond the Net, that's the chapter-thon, regional workshops. The regional workshops have evolved in the last couple of years, so we're looking for a greater involvement of chapters in the work of the campaigns work and other programs work. And in 2019, there will be a lot of emphasis in improving the communication with the chapters and making some assistance available for the chapters, not only in terms of money, but also supporting the chapters to work better, to have access to other sources of funding. In other words, to develop their capacities in order to perform their work in the best way possible.
Thanks, Raul. Evelyn, do we have more questions?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we have one that matches, it's also about chapters, so I think I'll take that first. Do chapters need to have same action items as global? Sometimes the requirement of local is something else from global.
Oh, well, this is a really good point, and it's something that I think we need to keep in mind. The chapters formally are independent entities, right? They're associated with the Internet Society. We share goals, we share our mission, and so on. And the agreement that the chapters always have with us is, has to do with alignment between us. But of course, we have local chapters because there are local priorities that are a little bit different sometimes from the global priorities of the organization. And this is natural. As long as we're all in alignment, as long as we're all pulling in the same direction, as long as we're all trying to make sure that we build the internet for everyone, I think that it's entirely appropriate that local chapters sometimes have a slightly different emphasis. We can think of the organization of the Internet Society as being a little bit like the internet, right? Each part of the internet, each constituent network operates according to its own rules. It does its own thing. But we use this common set of protocols, this common underpinning of the whole thing in order to build the global internet that we all enjoy. And it's only if we all implement that common set of protocols, it's only if we all point towards the same direction that we're going to get the benefits of the global Internet Society and still gain the benefits of the local chapters as well.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Shadrach would like to know what the Internet Society is doing in improving technical security.
Thanks, Evelyn. I think actually this is something that probably Olaf should respond to.
Yeah, well, thank you for that question, improving technical security. So yeah, improving technical security at ISO Global. And this is I think where we have a little bit of a difference between what maybe chapters might be doing. But at ISO Global, we are looking at how can we improve the security of the global internet? How can we make sure that the internet as a tool for humanity remains trusted and secure and open for everyone? When looking at that, we're looking at those protocols and those things that make the connection happen. And one of the most important pieces that makes connection happen in the internet is the routing protocol, the routing infrastructure, the way that the individual networks that make up the internet talk to each other and transport traffic between each other. That routing system is vulnerable, and what we're trying to do is fix that by means of asking the community of network operators to endorse a set of actions that we and they believe will make the internet a little bit more resilient to attacks. So that is our focal point for the internet infrastructure security project, so to speak, angle. There are other things that we do. We keep on tracking how encryption, for instance, can and will be implemented across the internet. We keep a keen eye on the developments around DNSSEC, a key eye on the developments around DNS security and privacy. It's all those global infrastructures that we keep a keen eye on and try to develop materials that can be implemented by the people who maintain this at the local setting. Over.
Thank you very much, Olaf. And thanks, our community. I see most of you are still very engaged. Please keep those questions coming. So we have one more question. No, we still have many questions. Adriano would like to know, is there any specific plan to support initiatives around community ISPs?
Well, I see this question and another question from Beth around community networks in 2019. So maybe we'll put them both together. And Raul, since this has been an area that you have been dealing with a lot, why don't you take this? Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. The answer is, oh yeah, we plan to do a lot of community networks in 2019. As a continuation of the work we are doing in 2018, we will continue supporting the deployment of some community networks around the world, both to create an impact in the life of the people who live in the places where we are acting, but also to have a successful experience to showcase to policymakers and other stakeholders in order to create an enabler environment to these kind of innovative approaches to connecting the unconnected. We will look for is continue strengthening the community networks community around the world. So when we stop working on this issue, the community, a vibrant community, will remain in place working together. And so we will look for the support and implementation from international organizations and government of opportunities for funding this kind of deployment. And also we're going to influence, as I said before, showcasing the successful experiences, but also providing evidence-based research to support the policy work on this area. And we will show all of this work at the end of the year in Q4. We plan to organize a global conference on community networks and multi-stakeholder global conference where we plan to summarize the work that we have been doing in this year and next year and achieve the goals that I already mentioned. So yes, be tuned because we will continue doing a lot in 2019 in community networks.
Thank you, Raul. Jaman asks an interesting question, and this is also part of the intercommunity networks. So he asks, what if governments do not support community networks? How will this impact our 2019 plan?
Okay, sorry, I take the as a follow-up.
Right.
The good news is that there are more and more governments that are engaging and supporting this kind of deployments. We have a very good examples in Georgia, in Kyrgyzstan, in South Africa, where regulation to use white space was passed. In Colombia, Mexico, where we have also good examples of working together with governments on updating the regulation and the legal framework, and also in Argentina, where we are working together with the government and also on finding opportunities and with the support of the government to deploy community networks, adapting also the legal framework and regulation. So I think that I'm very optimistic. I think that those governments that are embracing this new model will be very important in order to bring other governments on board, showing that this is something that is doable and create an impact in the community and providing more opportunities to the people through the connectivity to the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. Andrew, you spoke a little bit about the ISOC Foundation. Nicholas would like to know, is the staff who manage the grants, will the staff who manage the grants be transferred? Sorry, what is that? Is the staff who manage the grants, okay, I don't know what that means, but I think he wants to, the question is, who's going to be managing the grants? Will that be staff from Internet Society or no?
So there's more than one way to do this, and we haven't finalized all of our staffing for the foundation. The way we're working on this is we're going to hire an executive director and some people who do the management and figure out precisely where the staff come from, because some of the people who are involved in this right now have more than one task at the Internet Society. One way we might do this is just to second some of that time to the foundation and allow people to work on those things, to divide up the time. It's perfectly normal. I think the deeper question that is probably prompting this, though, is this question about whether this is a way of changing the grant structure for particularly in Beyond the Net. And I think that the key answer here is that we're not actually changing any of those things when we get this started. The idea here, and the reason that we're doing this in public the way we are, is because we know our community doesn't really like surprises. So instead of the sort of usual launch that you might expect of a thing like the foundation, where everything's kept really secret, and then at the last minute we pull off the veil and say, here you go, we're gradually rolling things out, and we're trying to do things in a way that is not too surprising to anybody. So the initial pieces of this are really just to transfer the function from one piece of the Internet Society to another piece of the Internet Society. We have, the Internet Society Foundation and the Internet Society have the same board of trustees. I am officially the CEO of both of these organizations. So at the moment, the distinction for practical purposes is not that strong. Over time, it would not be surprising that these two things will start to have greater differentiation between them. And that is what we would expect to happen over time. But at the beginning, this should be a completely smooth operation. And the only question is really an accounting one at the beginning while we get the foundation up and running.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So we have time for just one more question, and I'll take the question from Bob. The internet is being used more and more for bad things. What are the major platforms? Many of the major platforms are being used to convey false information. What is the Internet Society doing about this?
So this question is interesting because it points to one of the difficulties that we're facing right now on the internet. The internet in the past, I think, it was very clear that there was a big distinction between the internet and other kinds of networks. But once you were attached to the internet was a sort of flat space where it was a network of networks and different people operated the mechanisms and so on. And what we have seen over the past several years is an increasing concentration, and one kind of concentration that we've seen is in the web application space. And so many of the platforms that Bob is talking about here are in fact those kinds of web applications. They're not really part of the internet. They're on the internet in the sense of, sitting on top of, like, the book is on the table, rather than being a part of the internet where you can connect inside. When you're inside one of these social media platforms, of course, you have to use its facilities. You don't use common internet protocols and so on. What this means is that the environment is sort of split. Some parts of the internet are parts where we have to work collaboratively. That is, we need mechanisms in order to improve the trust. We need mechanisms in order to improve the security of the systems. And we need those things to be done in conjunction with everybody else. So these are things like the rollout of TLS 1.3 or the Manners campaign, or any of those kinds of things where it's the shared environment. In the case of the platforms, though, there's really typically just one controller of that. And they have a different role because they are really stewards of their own platform. What we can do as the Internet Society is be a home for the kinds of debates where those kinds of organizations can work out some of the things that they need to do. Some of the things that they need to do are well-known, well-understood, traditional Internet answers to problems. Some of them are things that are entirely normal to monopolies. Finally, what we need to do is make sure that we talk to governments in order to explain to them that the internet is more than just this or that social media platform. A confusion that, for instance, we saw at the Internet Governance Forum, where the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, presented a speech where he was talking about regulating the internet, and what he was really talking about in many cases was regulating companies that happen to be using the internet. It's a very different problem. And we have not been successful in the recent past in making sure that people keep this distinction at the front of their minds. There is a real danger that people are going to try to solve this problem by breaking the internet, and that is something that we must not do. This is a tool that has brought us enormous riches, enormous potential, and we have barely begun to understood the potential of the internet in order to improve human lives. So I want to make sure that we continue to work for an internet for everyone.
Thank you very much, Andrew. And thank you very much to the executive team for being very engaging. To our community, please keep those questions coming. We'll address them as they come in. So thank you very much, everyone. So let's continue with our program. Coming up next is our discussion around the future of InterCommunity. But first of all, let's build some excitement for the Chaptathon 2018. For those of you who are not familiar with Chaptathon, I'd like to show you a short video so you can get some sense of what our chapter members have been up to in this context over the past months. Can we now see the video for Chaptathon? Isn't that fantastic? Please stay tuned. More to come on the Chaptathon soon. But for now, let's continue with part 2 of our program, the future of InterCommunity. And to kick this off, I'd like to invite James, our Chief Communications Officer, to tell you a bit more about what this section is all about. James, over to you.
Thank you, Evelyn, and hello, everybody. The Internet Society community is made up of many like-minded people. We're a diverse community of individuals, members, chapters, special interest groups, partners, and contributors from all over the world. And this is really what makes the Internet Society unique. We really are a society of people who care about the future of the Internet. As many of you know, we launched InterCommunity in 2015 as a highly interactive gathering of our global community. It was envisaged as a moment for us all who share in the same values of an open, globally connected, secure and trustworthy internet to come together, to connect, to share experiences, to learn from each other, and to listen. We've delivered and produced InterCommunity now in a number of different ways over the past few years, but finding a winning formula hasn't always been easy. Different event formats have given us different challenges. We're also challenged by multiple time zones. With people in so many cities and countries, it's difficult to find ways to bring people together, both physically and online. And last but not least, we all have very busy schedules, and the dates that we pick can't always work for everyone. So this year, we're doing things a bit differently. We wanted to use this year's InterCommunity meeting as a moment to stop and think about what future community-oriented events could look like. Above all, we want to hear from you about what you'd like to see in a global meeting of the Internet Society community, because this really is the best way to ensure that we model the future events on ideas that come from the community for the community. And this meeting today is the start of that process. This is the moment when we begin a period of consultation and information gathering to reimagine InterCommunity for years to come. With all the ideas that we receive from you over the coming weeks and months, we'll map out a new, sustainable model for InterCommunity with a view to hosting a new look event in 2020. So let's get the conversation started now, and back to you, Evelyn.
Thank you very much, James. We actually started this conversation earlier this week through Slido. I'd like to thank all of you who have already contributed and shared your ideas. So what we'd like to do, we'd like to provide you with insights of what ideas have been submitted, and at the same time, we want to give those of you who have not submitted an idea an opportunity to do so. So if throughout this session you have an idea for the future of InterCommunity that you'd like to submit, please feel free to use the Slido screen on the right. Make sure to add your name and country so we can follow up with you afterwards should we have additional questions. As many of you have already submitted your ideas, we won't keep you waiting. So while some of you are working on adding new ideas, we've invited a couple of community members to talk about some of their ideas. We hope that this will spark some fresh ones. After that, James and Joyce, our Senior Director, Global Community Engagement, will be taking a look at some of the other ideas. So without further delay, let me invite Amrita Chaudhary from the Delhi chapter in India to give us her idea.
Hi, my name is Amrita Chaudhary. I'm from the India Delhi chapter. At the onset, I would like to thank ISOC for giving me the opportunity to present my views. An ideal community event for me would be one which is open, inclusive, and welcoming divergent views and experiences from across the globe. An event where new community members, especially women and youth from the global south, are encouraged to articulate their experiences, views, and concerns, irrespective of their age, language, and experience. Additionally, the learnings from such events should be taken forward and wherever possible acted upon. To build more interest and participation from the community, perhaps a bit more outreach needs to be done amongst community members to emphasize the importance of participating in such events and highlight how it would help them and their community members. Also, as a build-up to the community event, perhaps each region could have a regional community event where each chapter could be encouraged to have one representative, not the usual people who speak at forums, to share their perspectives. All such regional experiences could be summarized as a report and shared with the global audience. Simultaneously, the most unique ideas could be shared by the community member at the global event. This would not only help to get more diverse views, but also encourage new community members who have never expressed themselves in public to speak up, and also create an interest and motivate other such community members to participate in these events. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amrita. So now let's hear from Lito. Lito, 1 minute, please.
Hello, I am Lito Ibarra. I am the president of the ISOC chapter in El Salvador, Central America. And I would like to propose a quite kind of a simple idea for the intercommunity in the future. I would like to propose that we define a date, specific date, do it within November each year. Just like May 17 is Internet Day, we can select one of these dates. Also define a certain specific topic that we want to talk about, like for instance, community networks, or maybe next year will be another one or whatever. And we promote and organize events in each and every one of the ISOC chapters throughout the world in the same day, not interconnecting among ourselves, but having isolated events, but we all discuss the same issue. Afterwards, in December, we can have the intercommunity, this event that we're having now, and share our experiences, some of the chapters that went through on that specific day. That will be my idea. I hope you like it, and we can work on it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Lito. Now, last but not least, please join me in welcoming Matthew Rantanen from the USA.
My name is Matthew Rantanen. I'm from the North American Indigenous community, and I would like to discuss the fact that the Indigenous internet access has issues at the world level in North America, because the people that are deciding the future of the internet are not including the Indigenous populations. It's extremely important to include the less fortunate folks that are not connected to the internet to be able to identify the needs and the services that the communities require. And by including their voice, they can help provide better solutions and opportunities for the future connectivity of these last billion, if you will. They know their communities very well. They know their needs very well. And the unfortunate event is that most people come in from the outside and say, hey, we know what you need. Here's what you need. And they deploy something that turns into a giant paperweight and a non-functional solution. So moving forward in the development of the future of the internet and how to connect the last billion, we need to include all the voices. Thank you.
Again, what a fantastic idea. I can already picture it. Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing this with us. These are just 3 examples of the many pre-submitted ideas. We had almost 150 responses to our call in the email to everyone last week. And thank you for those who have been adding additional ideas throughout this section of our program. We will be reviewing your ideas over the coming weeks as well. We did go through all your original responses, which were submitted last week, and now we will respond to a selection of these pre-submitted questions. So let's ask James to join us again, and I'm joined here in Reston studio by Joyce. So let's ask James. Oh, sorry. So James and Joyce, yeah, 2 separate people with no relation to the famous novel writer. Shall we take a look at the submissions, get a feel of where people's ideas are headed? Joyce, do you want to take it away?
Thank you, Evelyn. Sorry, my voice was left somewhere over the ocean. It's gotten worse. I'm sorry about that. So, bonjour tout le monde. Hola a todos. It's really a pleasure to see so many names on the list today. I'll try to lower my voice so then it comes back a little bit more. Yes, we can do that. It's really great to see so many people participating today. I see many names I recognize, but also quite a few new names as well. So welcome, everyone. I also want to thank everyone joining Evelyn and thanking everyone for submitting all of your ideas pre-event and taking the time to go through Slido to add your ideas and thoughts. We see many more coming in as we speak, or as I try to speak, actually. What we did see is that we saw some themes coming out of the ideas that you've submitted. And so we looked at some of them to see what we could kind of bundle them and how we could see which kind of themes you would really like to see addressed in InterCommunity in the future. So James, shall we maybe dive into it a little further and see what we can come out with?
Yeah, I can come to your assistance, Joyce. So indeed, we have seen a number of themes emerging from the submissions that you've sent in. We've had over 130 submissions, as Joyce says, perhaps more now at this point, if you include the ones in Slido. Firstly, I'll say that many of you around the world, and this goes for the first InterCommunity session as well that we had earlier on today, have been very, very positive about the core concept behind InterCommunity. So of course, InterCommunity was conceived of as an event for our global community to come together, to connect, to engage with each other, to share ideas, and as a way also to showcase the power of the internet in bringing us together. And many of you have supported that core idea, and you would like to see it continue in some way, which is great. So I think that gives us a really firm grounding to explore how we might want to evolve InterCommunity or a global community event in the future. One other very clear theme that has emerged from your inputs and submissions is a desire for an open and inclusive event. And of course, that reflects both the way in which the internet itself has been built over many decades and the values that we as an organization have too. So that is a defining principle, I think, that we need to bear in mind and use as we look to develop InterCommunity as a different kind of event. Many of you also see it as an opportunity for the community to cooperate and to collaborate better. There seems to be a lot of interest in chapters interacting more with each other, in different members, organizational, individual members, and different parts of the community interacting and working more collaboratively together. Some of you have linked that idea with our campaigns that we are running and that we have been running for the past year, which ladder up to our strategic focus on access and trust. So perhaps there's a way to use InterCommunity to deepen the work that the community as a whole does around access and trust. We've also had some submissions that talk about the ways perhaps to develop regional events as part of a bigger focus on a global InterCommunity. So there are perhaps layers to a global event that we could think about which serve to involve regions and regional participants in more depth. And you've also suggested that InterCommunity could be a way to celebrate community successes. And I've also seen an entry in Slido just now that talks about recognizing community successes too. So that seems to be a core element, again, that's worth us considering. So in short, there's a huge amount of interest out there in taking InterCommunity forward, which is great, and shaping it into something for everyone. So Joyce, would you like to talk a little bit about the topics that people have put forward as well? Because we've seen a lot of submissions based around internet-related issues that people would like a global community event to address.
Let me try, yes. Thank you, James. In terms of topics. We've seen some trends. And interestingly, or I should say, thankfully, a lot of them are actually aligned with the action plan and the priorities as outlined by Andrew and the executive team earlier as well. So we heard clearly that, as James was saying, access, in particular, access in rural areas and underserved communities is really one of the top topics that really came out of your submissions. Another trend we saw was really the alternative ways to connectivity, and I think we have a whole team, I believe, online from our community networkers as well. I saw quite a few of you have joined today to really, that's really seeing that this is a clear topic of interest for the community as a whole. Another trend was clearly security. So more specifically, cybersecurity, but also IoT and security, again, very much aligned with our action plan. And last but not least, along some of the topics that came out of it was looking at future trends and emerging trends more related to innovation, more specifically, and artificial intelligence, obviously. James, do you want to take it further for the format?
I can rescue you again. So let me, I was going to talk about some of the ideas for the event format that we've also seen, but I did just want to mention a couple of things that I'm seeing coming through right now, because I think they're particularly good ideas. Actually, Andrew, in his presentation of the action plan, mentioned how we might involve chapters more in the development of that action plan. And in fact, that is one of the ideas that I've seen coming through. So perhaps there's a role for InterCommunity to play in that. And then secondly, somebody suggested how we might want to get internet end users more involved in a community event. And I think that would certainly serve to broaden the appeal of the Internet Society, and it would mean that we'd be expanding our reach beyond our current sphere of influence and our known community. So I like that one in particular. In terms of event format, we've had lots of ideas on how we might put this event together. And of course, this is really an important piece of the puzzle, and it's good to get a sense from you of the sort of event that you're interested in having. We've had lots of suggestions, including ideas on how virtual roundtables can encourage inter-community discussion, how we might use a novel event format to get newcomers and new participants more involved, how we might increase the level of accessibility for online events. That's an area that we've worked quite hard on over the years, but there's certainly more that we could potentially do there. And the role that interactive workshops and other regional events might have, linking back to the point about how a regional dimension to intercommunity could feed into a bigger global community event. So all of this tells us that there's lots of potential to develop the thinking further. There's a strong desire to increase the level of collaboration and cooperation between different parts of the community. I see a role for intercommunity in that, and we'd very much like to continue to gather your input and ideas as we reach the end of this year and into next year to help us model a new look event. So with that, and Joyce, if you can bear it, I'm going to hand back to you to explain just a little bit about what that process looks like.
I'll keep it very short. Thank you, James. I'll keep it very short. As we were saying, this is really just the beginning of the process. We really want to co-create this event, and we'll be in touch with more information on the hows, the whens, and how you can really actively participate in creating the event that really makes sense for you early 2019. So on those words, thank you very much. Thank you, Evelyn, for having us.
Thank you, James and Joyce. And Joyce, we wish you the very best. I hope you feel better soon. I'm excited to see this event grow and evolve, and cannot wait to co-create the event with all of you. So now we have reached the final program item on our agenda. I know most of you have probably been waiting for this one, the chapter form. So I'd like to give this moment to the person who has been leading this project so she can provide us with some background information. Please join me in welcoming from Germany, the Senior Manager Global Chapter Development at Internet Society, Christine Sagasa.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Evelyn. It's great to see so many of you online today. I'd just like to, before we jump into the big announcements, I would like to give you a bit more background on the Chapterthon, what it actually is and where the idea initially came from. So the Chapterthon is a global chapter project marathon or a competition. As you may know, the Internet Society currently has 127 chapters and 8 special interest groups that are formed by individual members from around the world. So during the Chapterthon, Internet Society chapters and special interest groups developed and implemented projects on a specific theme, which was Internet of Things this year. And that within a specific timeline, which was the same for everyone, which was 45 days, and the same budget, which was $2,000 in that case. So the aim behind the Chapterthon is really to engage both our chapters and SIGs who compete with their projects in the competition, but at the same time also to engage the individual members around the world who then select the project they like most. So where does it come from? A pilot of the Chapterthon was actually organized in Latin America and the Caribbean 2 years ago, and we then built on this success and inspiration and actually decided to globalize it, which we did for the first time last year. So that was 2017, where the Chapterthon focused on connecting schools through the internet. And this edition actually won a prize of the World Summit on the Information Society business, of which we and the community can all be very proud, I think. So how does it work concretely? In 2018, all Internet Society chapters and SIGs have been invited to develop projects around the Internet of Things, IoT. 43 Internet Society chapters and SIGs from around the world then decided to take part in the challenge and worked on their respective projects. Based on the videos they produced at the end of the project, all Internet Society members have then been invited to vote on the project they like most to identify the winner. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Frederick Donk, the Regional Bureau Director for Europe at the Internet Society and also the main lead of the Internet Society campaign on the Internet of Things, IoT. He will give you a little bit more background on the topic of this year's Chapterthon. So Frederick, over to you.
Thank you, Christine. Hello, Evelyn. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you this evening, or at least my evening. So let me walk you through the IoT campaign, also known as Trust by Design. So what's the issue and why did ISOC decide to act in this field and act urgently? Well, we know that by 2020, there will be between 20 to 30 billion connected devices. Yes, 20 to 30 billion connected devices. And we know that those devices will be poorly protected from a privacy or security perspective. And as Olaf Kolkan, my colleague, would say, everything you put on the internet becomes part of the internet. That's the reason why we decide to act. We see this as a potential threat to user trust, but also to the internet. So how did we decide to proceed? We will go 3 avenues. First, we will approach and influence manufacturers themselves. We want manufacturers to embed privacy and security into their device. In order to help them, we have a wonderful set of principles within our OTA, Online Trust Alliance Trust Framework, that we will find on our website. 40 principles, among them authentication, encryption, the ability to switch off or to change passwords. And we trust that if manufacturers would embed those principles into their device, we would come to 0 issues in the IoT ecosystem. The second big group that we will approach are policymakers, of course. Those are a very important stakeholders. We will approach them with recommendations. We have set principles for them too, recommendations both for the privacy and the security. We want policymakers to create an environment that promotes privacy and security across the globe. And then the third group, maybe the biggest one and the most important one, those are users, you, us, our community. We believe that this is a very important stakeholders because if users start raising their voice, they will influence both manufacturers and policymakers. That's also the reason why the Internet Society entered into a partnership with Consumer International. Consumer International is this organization with 100 local and national consumer organizations across the globe, and we have many things and actions with them into the pipes. Olaf mentioned some videos that we already made with them. So we got a lot of materials that we would like to share, and certainly with our community, because none of the above would be possible without you, our community. We already have endeavored many actions at local and regional level in Canada, in the US, in Europe, in UK, France, in Asia, Australia, Japan, in many other countries, in Senegal, in Africa. And then there is this chapter. This is exactly what we need, raise the awareness. So we've seen lots of wonderful videos. I'm very proud and thrilled to see all those videos, and very happy to hear very soon who will be winning this chapter-thon. But already a big thank you, because this is what we want our users and community to do. Thank you very much. Evelyn, back to you.
Frederick and Kristen, thank you so much for your insights. And now, it is time to announce the projects that received the highest amount of community votes. We are very privileged to have one of our Board of Trustees member here today to help announce the first project that made it to the final top 3. Straight from Argentina, please welcome Olga Cavalli. Olga, could we please have your microphone unmuted? Olga, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I thought I had done that. Sorry for that. It happens all the time. Good afternoon from Buenos Aires, and apologies for that. Thank you, Evelyn, and I won't keep you any longer here. So with great pleasure, I will present you the first chapter project in the top 3. Please consider that we will present them in alphabetical order. So this first chapter presented is the Afghanistan chapter with their incredible IoT project. Congratulations to them, and let's have a closer look at their project, and we will see their video, please.
در مکتب ما یک کمتر باشه، همین وسایل دو باشه و بتونیم زیادتر کار کنیم. بخشی که میتونستیم چراغ به اینترنت وصل کنیم و از راه دور را کنترل کنیم، این بسیار مهم بود و بسیار جالب بود.
زه خپل د ننګرهار اوسیدونکی یم او خاص کر کابل همدغه کمپیوټر ساينس خاطر راغلی یم. زه همداسې یعنی د کوم پروجیکټ چې د IoT انکریډیبل IoT د انټرنیټ سوسایټي افغانستان لخوا یعنی کوم استاد چې زموږ کمپیوټر دی یعنی چې ما ورته وویل چې ماته باید دې کې برخه راکړي. زه غواړم چې داسې سیمینارونو کې برخه واخلم تر څو که چېرته سبا زه پوهنتون کې یم نو په دومره څه وپوهېږم چې خپل هغه کار او خپل دغه مخکې وړلی شم.
چون مایتری تونستیم که توسط این پروژه بشناسیم توسط زمین سمینار که چه قسم اینترنت اشیا را به اینترنت وصل کنیم و چه قسم از اینترنت اشیا استفاده کنیم.
This is really amazing. There's something I really loved about this project, and that is creativity. And I'm pretty sure that this project will have sparked some things with you as well. So why don't you go back to Slido and tell us in just one word. Please remember, one word. What did you love about the Afghanistan chapter project? Go to Slido and enter your one word of what you loved about the Afghanistan project. If we can pull that screen up so that we can start seeing those words forming. Amazing responses there. Please keep them coming. I guess we can all agree that that was a very creative video. Thank you so much for showing the Afghanistan chapter some love. So well done, Afghanistan chapter. And so we will take a look at the second project video now. Olga, please take it away.
Thank you, Evelyn, and congratulations to Afghanistan. And now the second chapter that we can congratulate for reaching the top 3 of the chapterthon contest is the Benin chapter for their great IoT low high tech a connected object creation workshop. Congratulations for that. And let's have a closer look at their project too. Let's see the video.
Le rideau est tiré sur le projet IoT Low High Tech ce vendredi 5 octobre 2018 dans la salle de conférence du campus numérique francophone de Cotonou. Un projet exécuté dans le cadre du programme Beyond the Net de ISOC via le Chapterton. Cet événement, qui a enregistré une vingtaine de participants de profils divers, a été organisé par le chapitre béninois de l'Internet Society.
Internet Society est une organisation internationale qui œuvre pour la promotion du développement d'Internet et le développement des standards ouverts. Et à ce titre, nous avons plusieurs axes prioritaires que nous défendons, entre autres les réseaux communautaires, l'Internet des objets, la gouvernance de l'Internet et la sécurité du routage. Le chapitre du Bénin a soumis un projet et a été sélectionné pour pouvoir l'organiser.
Durant 5 jours, il a été essentiellement question de les outiller sur l'environnement Arduino en vue de la création d'objets connectés. Les assises ont pris fin sur une conférence publique au cours de laquelle les participants ont présenté les résultats de leurs travaux en atelier. C'était l'occasion de mettre en exergue l'importance et la place de ISOC dans l'exécution effective du projet IoT Low High Tech.
Et cette année, l'idée, c'était un chapterthon autour de l'Internet des objets.
Les travaux en atelier ont été beaucoup plus pratiques, ce qui a permis aux participants de créer notamment 2 détecteurs, l'un d'incendie et l'autre de niveau d'eau. La domotique et l'environnement n'ont pas été du reste. Et pour cause, IoT Low High Tech 2018 a également accouché de projets de maisons connectées et de poubelles intelligentes.
Ce prototype est composé d'un système d'ouverture et de fermeture automatique lorsqu'on se rapproche de la poubelle en vue de jeter un déchirement.
Les participants n'ont pas manqué de se pencher sur le secteur agricole. À cet effet, ils sont parvenus à la création d'un épouvantail connecté.
Merci beaucoup à Isaac. Merci au nouveau bureau d'Isaac et bon courage à eux.
Congratulations, Benin chapter. Really well done. What I find inspiring about this project is that it inspires me, and I hope you find that inspiring as well. So why don't you jump to Slido again and quickly let us know in one word what you love most about this project. I found it very inspiring. So let us know how you find it. So we'll go to Slido again, and in one word, tell us how you found the Benin chapter project. I love seeing the word cloud forming. Please keep them coming. Fantastic. I think those are all great compliments. Congratulations to the Benin chapter for getting this far. So now let's take a look at the third and final project. Olga, please take the honors.
Thank you, Evelyn. Congratulations to Benin. And now I'm very honored to name the third and last chapter that reached the top 3 of the Chapterton contest. And that chapter is the Brazil chapter with their InspectorNet project. Let's take a look at their video.
O Brasil é um país com dimensões continentais. Somos 208 milhões de pessoas. Dentre essa enorme população, mais de 90 milhões ainda não possuem acesso à internet. A maior parte da população brasileira vive nas áreas mais próximas da costa e na região sudeste do país. Estas são as regiões mais privilegiadas por infraestrutura e riqueza. Quando olhamos para o interior do país, em cidades pequenas e distantes das grandes capitais, a infraestrutura de acesso à internet é, via de regra, muito deficiente. As grandes empresas de telecomunicações não estão interessadas em montar suas redes em regiões onde há população de baixa renda. Para esses milhares de brasileiros, o acesso à internet depende da existência de pequenos provedores e de redes comunitárias, que em muitos casos não possuem recursos adequados para oferecer um serviço de alta qualidade. No Brasil temos 4 grandes empresas de acesso à internet, que dominam a maior parte do mercado. Mas temos também cerca de 6 mil pequenos e médios provedores, que bravamente garantem o acesso à internet para uma enorme massa de brasileiros. Pequenos provedores são importantes para expandir o acesso à internet e precisam de apoio e ajuda. Muitos não têm orçamento para comprar equipamentos de rede com sistemas de monitoramento. Em regiões áridas, muitas vezes os equipamentos de rede param de funcionar devido às altas temperaturas. Em regiões de floresta, a umidade causa dano aos equipamentos. Por vezes, o serviço é interrompido ou se comporta de maneira intermitente devido à precária qualidade da rede elétrica. Para resolver esse problema, nós reunimos um grupo de voluntários do capítulo brasileiro e idealizamos, projetamos e construímos o InspectorNet, um dispositivo inteligente de IoT capaz de inspecionar a infraestrutura de rede de pequenos provedores de internet, medindo parâmetros ambientais como umidade, temperatura, informações da rede elétrica como queda do fornecimento ou consumo. Associado a um sistema de coleta e processamento de informações em nuvem, os diversos dispositivos do InspectorNet conseguem dar maior visibilidade sobre as condições de infraestrutura aos administradores de rede, possibilitando uma ação imediata ou até mesmo preventiva para garantir a continuidade do serviço de internet. Recebemos contribuições de inúmeras pessoas, engenheiros de renomados centros de pesquisa, de empresas de energia, entusiastas de hackerspaces, estudantes de computação, administradores de rede. Entramos em contato com mais de 30 provedores e redes em todas as regiões do país. De norte a sul, administradores de rede demonstraram interesse no InspectorNet. Construímos poucas unidades do dispositivo, ainda em fase de protótipo, e estamos enviando para provedores ao redor do Brasil. Iremos aperfeiçoar o dispositivo e o sistema. Esse projeto não termina aqui. Esse é só o começo e estamos decididos a continuar aprimorando o InspectorNet. Estamos usando a internet para fazer uma internet ainda melhor para todos.
Powerful, truly inspiring. So let's do the same. Let's submit one word round of what we loved about the InspectorNet project for our Brazil chapter. By now, you know what to do. Please go back to Slido and submit one word of how you feel about the Brazil chapter. Show Brazil some love. We need to see that white cloud forming. Thank you so much for your participation. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being truly engaged throughout this session. Thank you so much for giving the Brazil chapter some great compliments. And now it's time to announce the winner of the 2018 Chaptathon. And just so you know, the winning chapter will receive an award of $3,000 US. Now, you might have heard it already, since we had an earlier broadcast and Facebook and Twitter have been really active. But for those of you who haven't heard, it gives me great pleasure. It's my honor to announce the winner of the 2018 Internet Society Chaptathon. And that winner is the Benin chapter. Please help me in welcoming Ramon, who is the president of the Benin chapter, to accept his award.
Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, chers membres de la communauté mondiale de l'Internet Society. C'est vraiment avec beaucoup d'émotion que nous accueillons cette victoire pour le Chaptathon 2018 de l'Internet Society. Notre chapitre vient de loin et cette récompense est pour nous une belle reconnaissance des défis que nous avons engagés depuis quelques mois. C'est pour cela que nous dédions cette victoire à tous les acteurs qui ont œuvré pour la redynamisation de notre chapitre et à l'équipe de projet qui a brillamment travaillé pour sa mise en œuvre. Dans le cadre du Chaptathon 2018, nous avons organisé un atelier de création d'objets connectés et leur sécurisation à base de matériel recyclé et à bas coût. Nous continuerons nos actions et renforcerons notre engagement autour d'un Internet des objets connectés encore plus sécurisé. Je voudrais terminer ces propos en disant félicitations à l'ensemble des chapitres qui ont participé à cette compétition. Au nom des membres du chapitre Bénin d'Internet Society, au nom de son bureau et en mon nom propre, merci à Internet Society Global pour cette belle initiative et également merci à l'ensemble des femmes et des hommes qui, à travers le monde, travaillent pour un Internet ouvert, neutre et universel. Je vous remercie.
Congratulations, Benin chapter. Well deserved. It's great to see our campaign come to life in our local communities. Let's give them one more round of virtual applause. Olga, thank you so much as well for your support of the Chaptathon and your continuous active involvement in our community. And now we have come to the end of our time together today. I'm going to say goodbye to you all. Thank you for your active involvement and your support. And to close InterCommunity 2018, I would like to hand over to Andrew.
Thanks, Evelyn. And thanks so much to all of our participants today. You know, the reason this is called InterCommunity is because, of course, we are the internet and we're the community of it. We can only build the community together, and that means that that community is essential to our success in 2019 in order that we be effective. This is going to be an exciting and productive year that builds on the past and aims to close the gap between the world that we have today and our vision. I hope that you will join me in the upcoming year in making sure that we build the internet for everyone. We'll see you soon, somewhere on the internet. Signing off now from a chapter event here in Washington, D.C. I'm Andrew Sullivan, CEO and President of the Internet Society. See you on the net.